Welcome to Limitless VR and Sim Rigs, where we do all sorts of crazy stuff in this motion simulator behind me and in VR. Now, if you haven't seen my most recent video where me and a good mate were doing some crazy stuff in Assetto Corsa on Chitogo Motorway, I'll put a link up in the video here. That video is insane and it is testing the absolute limits of this motion rig behind me. But for today's video, we're talking about Sayintentions.AI. Now, if you haven't heard what that is, it's artificial intelligence air traffic control for games like Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and 2024, and also X-Plane. Now, what's really cool with this software is the dials and the options you've got if you want to tweak it. For someone like me who's a real beginner, I'm really new to all of this and it can get a bit nerve-wracking. You can tick boxes to make it basically hold your hand and put the training wheels on. It'll give you more information than would normally be given in real air traffic control situations. Plus, if you do any dumb stuff and you forget, you can even ask what frequency you should be on, and it will really hold your hand. But for those more experienced pilots or virtual reality pilots that are flying in sim, you can actually turn those off. No trainer wheels, and you are going to get the real ATC experience. Now, what we'll do for today's video is actually jump into the software and have a look at the settings, walk you through some of the features so you've got a better understanding of how that software works, but also we'll touch on the two different licensing tiers that we've got. Entourage is the entry point for the Sayintentions.AI software. That's a one-time fee, and it's really going to give you exposure to what that software can do, but you're not going to be able to interact with it and make calls over ATC, but you'll hear radio chatter and you'll get some engagement. Now, for a one-time fee, I reckon that is an awesome add-on to give you that additional immersion in-game. But then for a monthly commitment, you can actually have the full bells and whistles ATC. But then get ready for it. What they have just recently dropped is what's called SkyOps. Now, if you've ever heard of NeoFly or any of those mods that can inject missions into the game, now I know we've got missions in-game natively in 2024, but it's very scripted, it's very linear that you have to be at that location, you've got to do this. What I like with what SkyOps does is you can fly anywhere, free fly, take off from any location, and you tune in to the SkyOps frequency in the Sayintentions.AI software, and then you are going to be fed a mission that you need to go and fly. Now, it's not a career mode like it is kind of in NeoFly where you're making money and you're leveling up and you've got to get different licenses. And I'm okay with that because I guess my time is poor, I need to get in, I want to have some fun, and I might want to do a mission, but I don't necessarily want to have to be leveling all the way up and work my way up in licenses for certain aircraft. So you can pretty much jump in, tune in, get a mission, take off. It is absolutely wild. Plus, they've just added the ability for firefighting. This is nuts. Now, as it stands currently, the SkyOps is only for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, but I believe if you fly in the H145 helicopter, you can do missions in FS 2020. So just keep tuned in on that. I don't know if they'll be able to open it right up to 2020, but certainly for 2024, it is the full bells and whistles experience, and it is awesome. We're going to get into that a little bit later, but for now, let's switch over to the monitor. We're going to have a look at the settings for Sayintentions.AI. And don't forget, like and subscribe, share these videos with all your crazy friends. Let's go. Right, so this is what the software looks like. And we've got our account, our password, we can choose the language, and it can speak up to 14 different languages, which I think is absolutely incredible. So you can choose what is the right fit for you there. Plus, if you're doing IFR, you do need to create a username and ID for SimBrief so that you can actually be flying and creating those flight plans for IFR. And it's really cool. I do a lot of bush flying. I take off in the small bush planes, and pretty much I'm told I can only stay at a certain altitude. I can't go any higher, and I just love the realism that that's adding to the game. Plus, over here to the right, you'll see we've got some options. So you can keep that tail effect for squelch, ground loop effect, auto-tune standby frequency, auto-tune transponder. Now, you might want to turn some of that stuff off. I like having it on because, as mentioned, I'm a beginner. I'm really new to all of this and I'm learning still. So the more training wheels I can have on at the moment, the better. and it's really making my experience a lot of fun. So if we jump to identity, this is where you can create a whole heap of aircraft model and tail number. I pretty much fly experimental, and my call sign is Victor Hotel because I'm in Australia, and 13 Mike Bravo. Plus, you then create the long call sign and the short call sign, and you can pretty much hit this auto button and it will auto generate what that call sign is. And again, you can click on that drop down, you can change these profiles, you can create new profiles. You literally just start typing something there. So we'll just type test, and then you can change what you want that tail number to be, and then you click plus. It will add that, and you can now easily swap and change between the various aircraft that you fly if you've got different call signs for them, and you can keep those aircraft models saved in your identity. Now, the use SimBrief call sign instead, I don't have a SimBrief set up, but if you do, this is obviously where you would be able to enable that feature. And if we switch across to headset, this is pretty straightforward stuff. This is where you're going to tune the settings for microphone, the headset, and what kind of volume you want coming out of any of that stuff. Jump over to controls. This is pretty straightforward. I've got one button mapped. That is purely for my comm radio push to talk. You could assign more, I guess, if you're communicating with crew and all that other stuff. But for me, single button, push to talk, and we are good to go. Multiplayer, this is what I really, really love. This is the cool stuff that I spoke of earlier in the video. So we can have live multiplayer global, and this is where we can hear other pilots live anywhere in the world. Live multiplayer proximity, so here are the live Sayintentions.AI pilots who are currently within radio range, but then share my audio. So allow my audio to be heard by other Sayintentions.AI pilots. If you don't want that, you can turn that off. And I like that, but the pre-recorded multiplayer proximity. So if I'm doing any bush fly in America, well, I'm flying in a different time zone. So the chances of me flying with other crew is going to be pretty slim. So you can actually tick that box and you'll hear other pilots who were in radio range at some point in the past. And I really like that. It is going to mean flying is less lonely if you are flying in different time zones, and it gives you exposure to hearing some more radio chatter, which really adds to that immersion. Plus this feature here, this slider, to be able to adjust how much chatter you want. You might find that there's just too much radio chatter happening maybe in a regional or a really remote location. So you can just tune that to your desire. So it's not too overbearing and, I guess, taking away from the immersion. Then we'll jump into the miscellaneous. This is where we can choose weather. Do we want it to be live weather or do we want it to be the active sky? And the ATC experience. So let's touch on this in a little more detail. If you're a student pilot, which is what I've got mine set to, you're going to get it a little bit slower, a little bit more verbose. It's going to give you more communication over that radio. They're going to speak more to you than they would normally. They're really going to hold your hand and be a little bit more gentle with you. Plus, it's going to provide way more information than you would normally get. So I absolutely recommend turning that on if you're a beginner so that you can get the full experience without it being too overbearing. But then if we switch to standard mode, you'll see that really it's going to behave like they do in the real world, but it's still going to give you full access to a variety of cheats like frequencies, conversation history, basic information about your flight. Progressive taxi is also available in this mode. So I'll eventually upgrade to standard, but for now I'm happy to just be flying as the student pilot. But if you know what you're doing or you really want to test it out, you can absolutely switch it onto pro mode, and this turns all of that off. There's no trainer wheels, there's no napkins. You are on your own, and it is going to be pretty full on. So you better know what you're doing. You need taxi maps, you need, your own comms. You've even got to tune everything yourself. So yeah, make sure you're ready for it because that is going to be full on. And now we'll switch to experimental. So these features are not supported. If you're having any issues, as it's pretty clear there, is, turn these off before you make any requests for support. But you can play around with some of this stuff. I've got none of this turned on, but you've got these options here, and you can play with these if you like, but again, these are experimental things. They're not supported. So if you are having issues with your Sayintentions software and you've got any of that turned on, turn it off first before you hassle the team. Then once that's running in the background, you can launch the game. Once the game is running, you will then be presented in-game with your little toolbar at the top, and you'll see the Sayintentions logo. If you click on that, it's going to open up the Sayintentions.AI, and you can see, because we're in Pro mode, we've got no features, we've got nothing. It's not showing us any of the frequencies we've got to be on. It's not showing us any of the settings that we need. It's done nothing for us. We've really got to tune it all, do it all, figure it all out ourselves. So now let's switch back to the student pilot. And what we'll do, because we're going to create a new flight, always click New Flight once you've finished a flight, because what that'll do is just refresh everything, get everything going again, and make sure you're having the best experience. So we'll just close Sayintentions, and then we'll reopen it, and now have a look at what we get. Because we've enacted the student pilot, it's telling us where we are, it's telling us our call sign, it's giving us ATIS, CTAF, CTR, Flight Information Services, radio check, so you can actually tune to that 118.01 and just do a quick radio check to make sure your comms are working and everything's happy. And then we've got ramp 119.99 if you're wanting to be a part of that sort of stuff and communicate with any of the ramp crew. But then SkyOps, here we go. If we tune to this radio frequency here, we can pretty much request a mission, and it's really cool. It's going to send your crew out. It's going to kick off the mission itself, give you the coordinates, and you're basically going to fly the mission and be communicating over the SkyOps frequency. So let's now jump into the rig and let's dial up a mission and let's see what we can do.
SkyOps, this is Pilatus 3 Mike Bravo. We are engines start and ready for mission brief.
Hold on while I check the mission queue. I'll get back to you in 1 to 2 minutes.
Right, so there we go. You can pretty much say anything. I've played around and experimented with some of this, and I've even done radio checks, and they'll communicate back and, you know, confirm that your radio's working. And it doesn't take too long. When they say 1 to 2 minutes, I've found it seems pretty quick to get back to us with a mission brief, and then our crew make their way out to the aircraft and jump aboard. So we will just sit here waiting for comms. And also what I found is, I'm not sure if it's the correct thing to do, but I've just stayed on the SkyOps channel, and then I'm using that as if that's my ATC, that's my everything, and they'll issue me the runway to take off from and all of those sorts of bits of radio chatter. So rather than switching channels and frequencies, I'm just staying tuned into the SkyOps for the mission. So we're in the Pilatus, the Porter. I love this thing, and it's just got a real agricultural feel to it, and perfect for this sort of thing. We'll get the crew on board, and then we can find out where we're flying to. Some brilliant areas around Kununurra and Lake Argyle and these sorts of areas to fly. The Kimberley bush trips are just amazing. Right, there we go. There's the siren.
Good morning, sir. We're just finishing up with the last of the gear and we can get moving.
Right, so that's the crew communicating.
Pilatus Hotel 13, Mike Bravo, SkyOps, copy that. Engine start and ready for mission.
Okay, we are good to go. So this is really cool. I mean, this is all happening. You know, it's all being fed into the game through the Sayintentions AI. It is really, really cool. So I'm pretty sure we're just waiting for them to give us confirmation that they are on board. So we're just waiting for the crew to get aboard, and then we can actually get in the air. So what's our incident site? It's going to be a heading of 135. SkyOps, this is Pilatus 3 Mike Bravo. We are checking that the crew is aboard and ready for takeoff.
Copy, checking that the crew is aboard and ready for takeoff.
We're all set back here. Ready when you are, sir.
Okay, so it looks like they'd already jumped on, and this is what I mean with the trainer wheels. Yeah, so they're on board. I must have missed them saying that they were, but they are, so we're going to get ready and we're going to get out of here. So let's just check exactly what was actually happening. Sky Ops, Pilatus 3 Mike Bravo, just confirming exactly what our mission requirement is, what we're looking for, and what the incident is that has occurred. Just check and see, what are we actually heading out for?
You're tasked with locating a missing hiker named Gregory near Kununura. He set out on foot early this morning and hasn't returned. There's no cell reception in the area, and an initial ground search found no sign of him. The site is 39 kilometers southeast of the airport, heading 135. Once located, pass the exact coordinates to us for the ground team. Winter conditions mean cool nights, increasing the risk of exposure.
Okay. Okay, so we'll get some half flaps there. Okay, park brake is off and we are taxiing. So we are... Well, actually, I've jumped the gun there, so let me just get on the brake here real quick, because this is where we can actually request from Sky Ops what runway we're going to be taking off from. Sky Ops, Pilatus 3 Mike Bravo, requesting runway for takeoff. I probably should have requested permission
Mission
for
on request.
taxi.
This will take a minute or two. Pilatus 3 Mike Bravo, runway 12 is assigned for takeoff.
Confirm Sky Ops, runway 12 assigned for takeoff. We are requesting taxi to runway 12. I might have gone about that the wrong way. Again, I'm still learning. I'm oh, some lightning
Runway
out there.
12 is confirmed for takeoff. You are cleared to taxi to runway 12.
Okay, we are here. We have taxied to runway 12. We're going to get lined up and ready for takeoff. Oh, we got a fair bit of lightning happening. Some pretty dense cloud cover around here at the moment. Okay. Sky Ops, Pilatus 3 Mike Bravo. We are ready for departure.
Copy. You are ready for departure. Safe flight.
Okay, we've got half flaps and we are good to go. She could be a bit of a handful, this girl. Oop, oop. Oh, there we go. Okay, and flaps are up. She didn't take off too bad that time. She can get a bit squirrely being a towel dragger. So, okay, let's get up to altitude and we will turn on a bearing 135. Man, it is looking beautiful. And this is the other thing that's really great with the Sayintentions.AI is we can actually keep the chatter going in this dialog box up here. You won't have that on-screen chatter if you turn off the trainer wheels, put it into the real pilot mode, but I like having that there so we can see what radio chat has been happening and refer back to it if required. So, man, it is looking good in the sim. Wow. So we'll shrink that up just so we can have the whole screen and bask in the glory of Flight Sim 2024. And we're flying on a heading of 135 and we're looking for some kind of a sign, I guess. We've got a hiker who has gone missing. Gosh, we're getting a fair bit of turbulence at the moment. There's some storms gathering and we've got a fair bit of lightning happening just out over the escarpment there. Sky Ops, Pilatus 3 Mike Bravo, just requesting information on last possible known sighting of hiker? Was it near the mountain escarpment?
The last known sighting of the hiker was near the mountain escarpment just south of the incident site. Authorities received an emergency call from a park ranger who discovered a parked vehicle belonging to Gregory, the local adventurer. It is believed he set out on foot early this morning and never returned. There is no cell reception in that area, and an initial ground search turned up no sign of him. Winter conditions here bring cool nights, increasing the risk of exposure. You're tasked with locating him and passing the exact coordinates to us for the ground team.
Right, so we've got some pretty good information there in regards to last known sighting. So we've just flown out over that mountainous range. We're coming up to a second range here. We're just going to have a quick check and see what we're looking for distance. So 14 miles out. It's going to be coming up with this, I reckon, with this second mountainous escarpment that we can see in front of us here. Just get back on course, heading 135. And we better keep our eyes peeled.
We're nearby. Keep your eyes peeled.
All right, there you go. So we've just had... Oh, I've just seen a flare. Okay, we've got a flare that's just been shot up. Sky Ops, Pilatus 3 Mike Bravo. I believe we have visual on the hiker. We have just had a signal flare fired into the air. Oh, that's cool. Yep.
Copy that. Visual on the hiker confirmed with signal flare. GPS location noted. Mission accomplished. You can return to base.
There we go. That was pretty straightforward. How cool is that? Sky Ops, Pilatus 3 Mike Bravo. Understood. We are returning to base. So there you go. Adds a little extra bit of realism.
Copy. Returning to base.
Man, that is absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. So yeah, I really like it. Just being able to cherry pick a mission and get it assigned to you, go for a fly. There's ones where a vehicle has had an accident on the road. There's the new firefighting, and I'm actually going to give the firefighting a run in another video. I'm going to get myself up to speed with the firebomber and maybe even the H145 helicopter. I haven't done any heli flying in this sim rig yet, but I reckon that's next on the card. So watch out for an upcoming video, and we're going to try out some of the firefighting missions, and really, really cool. I love what they're doing, that additional element of realism by having the mission injected into the game is really cool. Anyway, I'll see you all in the next video.